Yo, what's up? My name is RetroPat, and this is not going to be the normal style of video I do on this channel. I actually want to do something more general and more something just retro video game orientated. So I made this list of my video game goals at the beginning of the year 2024, and I wanted to go back and see how many of them I actually achieved and what I got done and what progress I made over 2024. Maybe try to think about or reflect on what I actually did instead of the goals I set for myself. Something important to note here was I meant to do a video on this, like games I want to try and goals I want to partake in 2024, and I never did the video. So you guys are seeing this list essentially for the first time, and there's some pretty interesting, hopefully cool stuff on here. Let's actually expand this over. It's bigger than you think. It's kind of hidden off camera for a sec, so I want to go through it step by step. So first things first, I wanted to finish the Sly Cooper trilogy, and specifically at least do a video on Sly Cooper 1. This is an interesting franchise for me because I played Crash Bandicoot, I played Spyro, but I missed out on a lot of these other PS2 platformers growing up. I didn't play Jak and Daxter, I didn't play Sly Cooper, I didn't play Ratchet and Clank, and these are classics that a lot of people constantly recommend, and something I'm a massive fan of is going back in playing classics, especially when they're like $5 a piece. Most of these games are really cheap to pick up, honestly. Sly Cooper is actually, like, some of them are more on the expensive. I think the first one's like $20 or whatever, but I do own Sly Cooper 1. I think I might own the whole trilogy, 1, 2, and 3. Jak and Daxter, I have like 1 and 2. Like Ratchet and Clank, I have the first one and then like the third one or something weird. I want to play a lot more of these games, and I did start, and I played about 60 to 70% of Sly Cooper 1, and the problem was I think I ended up trying to go for 100% completion my first playthrough, and I think that just made it too. I have this problem of sometimes I'll try to go for that, and then I just won't ever finish the game at all because of that, when I should have just played like a normal playthrough instead of trying to go for 100%, biting off a little more that I could chew. So unfortunately, I was not able to achieve the Sly Cooper trilogy completed. I only played about 60% of the first game, and I loved it, and I started making a RetroPat video game review of it, like an in-depth video, and I didn't finish that. And that will get into, I'm gonna go over what goals I did beat, what goals I didn't beat, and then also add new goals. We're gonna make a new goal list right now heading into 2025, so that should be pretty exciting. Next up is replay Nostalgia in full. Now, this is a game that many of you probably don't know about. It's a very niche, I would say, very niche, old school, like 8-bit MMO. I think I found that game, Nostalgia, growing up by typing in like World of Warcraft, but 2D, like unironically something of that nature. I love Nostalgia. I found it on beyond.com, and you would play it through like a crazy little weird server, and Nostalgia is one of my favorite games of all time. It was so nostalgic to me, so fun, and it's very interesting because I found Nostalgia is a game, it's NES-Stalgia, based on the original Nintendo Entertainment System, right? The original Nintendo. And it was meant to be a love letter and like a nostalgia blast for people who grew up playing the NES. I didn't grow up playing the NES. I didn't even understand that it was a play on the word NES until many, many years later. I was like a 12-year-old kid with a shitty laptop who couldn't play many games, who was in love with MMOs. Couldn't even run things like EverQuest at the time. Like, it was that bad of like a, like family laptop situation. But I played Nostalgia, and I loved Nostalgia. It was so fun. I thought it was so well balanced, very grindy. The community, the aesthetics, the like medieval vibe. I loved Nostalgia, and I wanted to go back and play it in full. And I did go back, and I played it a fair bit. I've noticed I have this problem. It's interesting. I don't really have this problem with my main channel, Petrowski, but I vehemently have this problem with RetroPat for whatever reason, where I have so many unfinished projects. It would jump scare you guys to see my folders on my computer and see how many unfinished projects I have for RetroPat. It's sad. I really want to buckle down a little bit more and commit to those. I think it's tough when this is my side channel. This is not my main channel. I love this channel to death. I love it so much, honestly. I kind of miss my main channel being at this size, but then I wouldn't be able to pay rent, so it wouldn't actually be that good. But I like on this channel that almost all the comments I get, and I have to thank you guys for that, almost all the comments you get when you're like under 5k subs, under 10k subs, you get an occasional grumpy guy having a rough day, whatever. Most of the comments you get are just nice and supportive, and I really appreciate that. Whereas on my main channel, you definitely notice, I think and there's like different phases, just now I'm on a content creation ramble, but I feel like on my main channel, once I passed like 30,000 subscribers, the vibe totally changed. Everybody was way more critical, and it makes sense. I think that people really compare your content at the number of subscribers you have. And even though my content really hasn't changed that much, I mean, it's gotten slightly better and better and better, hopefully, over the past 3 or 4 years on my main channel, Petrowski. But I feel like a lot of people now I'm really lucky and I'm fortunate enough to have 56,000 subscribers, right? But you can compare my content to other 56,000 subscribers and be like, what the heck? Like, this guy's content quality is so low and yada, yada, yada. And I kind of get where you're coming from. I do focus on quantity over quality to some extent on that channel because I feel like every game needs a daily content creator. And I really value that connection and like, daily interaction with the community, right? And sort of giving people something to look forward to every single day and giving them an interest and reigniting that interest in the game. But I definitely noticed people started being a lot meaner and a lot negative, a lot more negative. Also, obviously, when you have more viewers and have more people, it makes sense that you're going to get more, you know, when you have 1,000 people watching you, it makes more sense statistically that one of them is a hater or one of them despises you or whatever. And not everybody's going to like me. That's, you know, that's obviously totally fine. But the amount of comments that are negative now on my Petrowski channel versus those that are positive, it's pretty rough. I've gotten to the point where I probably need to just stop reading comments because it's so bad. And to give you context, I make guides for a fan-made niche like Pokemon project, right? That's what I do. And the fact that I did that's crazy to think that like this is like the least controversial thing in the world, and someone doing something more controversial, I can't imagine how much hate they're getting. It's tough some days. Like some days it feels like 90% of the comments are just negative and shitting on me and attacking me. And never, attacking the video, never really critiquing the content. It's always, you stink, you're smelly, which honestly, that's fine. I don't mind those comments as much. It's honestly worse when someone tries to correct me or backseat me and then is incorrect. That's the most frustrating. But I'm off on a ramble now. Let's get back on to games I want to try. But the point I'm trying to say is thank you guys for being such an awesome community. But let's get back to what I want to talk about. Nostalgia. So nostalgia, and this is kind of a ramble video. That's the fun of it for me. Nostalgia is a really cool game. I started scripting a really long video for it, and then I think I just got demotivated. I think I really got demotivated as well because I love nostalgia and I love the game. But it got to a point where I had probably already sunk 20 hours into making a nostalgia video. And I was only like 10 or 20% done. It was gonna be a big project. And then I realized, and obviously I want to do this still, and I still want to finish it, but I realized I can't, as an adult, it sucks, but I can't, at that time when I was preparing for my wedding, I cannot justifiably put this amount of time into something that may get a few hundred views. Nostalgia, like, I love this game to death, but it is not a popular game. It's not a known game. I'm putting so much time into something that is purely a passion project. And I love passion projects in most of my channel. Both my channels really are passion projects, but it's a mix. You have to mix in content for others and content for yourself. I think there's some quote by like artists or whatever that say, oh yeah, you want to make one song for yourself, one song for you if you're a music artist, like kind of, or sorry, one song for yourself, one song for the radio, and then kind of like back and forth to like, if you want to survive as an artist, it's kind of, you have to kind of do a little bit of both, unfortunately, which makes sense. I mean, it's also just like that makes sense. You want to provide content that people will like and people will add to people's lives and add to society, right? But so nostalgia's been on hold. Love the game, amazing game. Hopefully a video will come out on that at some point. If you guys want to see it, let me know, feedback for whatever you want to see the most. Honestly, this is a great video to go through and tell me what you guys want to see the most of. Next up was 100% achievements in Skyrim. I'm very close. I did make some progress. I'm still not there, unfortunately. I think I'm around 6 achievements away. Just been passively working on 100% achievements in Skyrim for a very long time. I really just want to buckle down and blast it out and finish it out sometime very soon. Maybe just like do it all in one day. I don't know. We'll see. But I want to get that. I really want to get that done for sure. That's a pretty easy one. We'll do a video on that as well. I did a little bit of progress on that with my gaming journal / diary, whatever you want to call it. Next up, play a lot of DD. Play a lot of Dungeon Defenders. I crushed this goal. We're going to delete this one because this one got obliterated. I played so much Dungeon Defenders, way more than I expected in 2024. You guys have seen it on the channel, just an easy one. Dungeon Defenders Awakened. Now, this was to buy and to play Dungeon Defenders Awakened, and I did do it for about an hour and a half. Didn't like the game. Did not see a reason to play the game. But I did, in fact, buy and play Dungeon Defenders Awakened for about an hour and a half. Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning playthrough. I fell in love with Kingdoms of Amalur. I think this is like one of the recent games that popped into either my top 10 favorite games of all time for a temporary period of time, or maybe like top 20 favorite games. I really fell in love with Kingdoms of Amalur, playing it on Xbox 360. It was like a $5 game, super cheap to pick up. But I wanted to get Re-Reckoning, which was a re-release of it, available on PC and Xbox One, I believe. Maybe like, PS4 or whatever as well, but available on newer gen stuff. I ended up getting it on PC on sale because like the original copy is like $5, but Re-Reckoning is like 40 for whatever reason, because it's like, I don't know, it's kind of a ridiculous price gap for what it is, honestly. But the big thing, the main reason I wanted Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning is I should have just played Re-Reckoning from the get-go, because Re-Reckoning scales all the mobs, so you can actually play the game infinitely. The biggest problem with Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, like the first one, is that after you reached endgame, all the mobs are still at their like low level. If you like go back to starting zones or go to a certain zone, so like there wasn't a whole lot of replayability there once you beat the game, and once you beat certain things, it was really difficult to grind XP. It was really difficult to make any progress because you were so much higher level than everything else, and that was kind of frustrating. So I probably should have started with Re-Reckoning, but that game was amazing. Just third person Skyrim is the easiest way, really, lazy way to explain it, but really fun. Like it's almost like third person Skyrim plus Diablo in terms of the grinding and the gameplay and the combat. So that's that. I did not really do a Re-Reckoning playthrough, so I'm gonna leave this up for now, honestly. It'll stay there for the time being, because I started it and I did a little bit on my channel for fun, but I didn't really make enough progress, in my opinion, to call it a playthrough. Try more free-to-play games on Steam. This is something I still haven't done. I think about it all the time, just haven't had the time and energy to get around to it. So much of this is gonna be like me feeling guilty and me feeling bad for not getting around to certain stuff. So many goals in life, so many things to do, so little time. Only have so much time to do things. I really like the idea of doing a series on this channel where I try free-to-play games and I judge whether or not it's worth your time, because we live in a day and age where there are more free-to-play games available than ever. People forget that like 15 years ago, it was really hard, and there were very few, like really hard to find, and there were very few free-to-play games. I will never forget the day when the first free-to-play game was added to Steam. That was a big deal. The first few free-to-play games. The first few free-to-play games on Steam were things like Realm of the Mad Gods, Spiral Knights, I believe World of Tanks. Like this was like some of the OG. This is like way before like TF2 and like was like free-to-play. Like, I remember I paid for TF2 or like CS. I think is CS:GO free-to-play now. I don't even know. But like for a long time, free-to-play games were not easy to come by. Like League of Legends was probably one of the first. I mean, gross League, but genuinely, League was probably one of the first games to succeed with the free-to-play model. It was one of the first free-to-play games, as silly as that sounds, back in like 2009. Free-to-play games are a big deal. So I have a strong connection to free-to-play games, because growing up as a broke kid without access to mom's credit card, free-to-play games were some of the only games that I could play. They mean so much to people growing up and people like that. So I think judging free-to-play games, now we're in a different era where we have so many free-to-play games that it's not about we have to actually pick and choose which ones we play, and that's the time is the more important resource now, I feel like. So I'll have to get on that at some point. I think it'll be a really fun one. The next one is possible free-to-play Ultimate Iron Man on OSRS. I'm gonna honestly knock this one off the list. I did not do it, but I don't think I want to anymore. I love old school RuneScape to death. It is my favorite game of all time. It takes so much time. I don't have time. If I don't have time for other things on this list, I do not have time for a free-to-play Ultimate Iron Man. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought it'd be fun. Yeah, don't have time. Try Paladin. Still haven't done this. I loved Overwatch 1. The path that Overwatch has gone down is immeasurably sad, but I loved Overwatch 1. I was a big Lucio main. I peaked at Masters, nothing crazy, like low Masters, like 3600 or whatever. Love Overwatch to death. Very mechanically in depth, very fast game. Probably the fastest game I've ever played. And I would love to try Paladins and see what that game has to offer. I've heard good things. Obviously, it's considered to just be an Overwatch clone, but maybe there's something there. So we'll keep that on the list. Shiny Hunt on Pokemon. I did this a ton. I did Shiny Wars. I participated in multiple events, multiple Shiny Wars. As you can see, I'm single encountering now for a very niche specific Shiny. Not really going for Zubat. Obviously, Zubat's the only thing spawning right now here, but this is called Altering Cave. I'm going for a Altering Cave specific Shiny because this cave is very nostalgic to me. So now I'm going for like catch location Shinies, which is pretty funny / niche. Next up, finish Mirror's Edge Catalyst. I actually played this game again for about 2 more hours. And I'm going to knock this off I love the original Mirror's Edge. I think the original Mirror's Edge was like such a not masterpiece, clunky masterpiece maybe. So interesting for its time, so cool, so beautiful, so unique. I feel like it was also, I mean, not that this always matters or not to always make this point, but I do feel like what's her name, the main character of Mirror's Edge, I feel like she was one of the first in that era, like 2008. She was probably one of the first female protagonists that a lot of gamers played and were like, oh shit, this girl is fucking cool, and like she's badass, and like you can connect with her. We had Tomb Raider and stuff like that in the 90s, to be fair. I'm not trying to, like, you know, make it's super extreme arguments, but I think it was cool. I think she was, Faith was her name. She was a really fucking cool character. To this day, probably one of my favorite, like, female protagonists, just because she's very, very, I don't know, she just comes off as cool. Maybe a little stoic, which is not always... It's sometimes good, sometimes bad. It depends, but I really liked it. I love Mirror's Edge original. Mirror's Edge Catalyst sucked. I hated this game. God, I cannot play it. I cannot play it. I've played it for about 5 hours. I've tried to play it more. I don't know what it is. It's not even like atrociously bad. It feels harsh to judge it like that. It's just so nothing, and it just so doesn't ooze the style that the original Mirror's Edge had. And the original Mirror's Edge is so much style. I could not get into it. Next up, pick up more and play more Xbox 360 era games, including the games Enslaved, Wet, Remember Me, Red Dead Redemption, and Devil May Cry Collection. These are all games I've never played before. I actually bought all of these games in 2024, so I'm very happy with that. I don't think I played any of them. I think I played Devil May Cry for about half an hour, and I think I played... I think I played the Red Dead Redemption intro where you like do the horse tutorial, the horse ride. Red Dead 1, not Red. I'm not even at Red Dead 2 yet. I know that game's supposed to be amazing. I have to beat Red Dead 1, guys. I've owned Red Dead 1 forever, and I've never beaten it. I've replayed that horse tutorial with that one girl at the ranch probably 5 or 6 times in my lifetime. I always just get bored and can't get past it. I gotta just buckle down. The game seems great. I have a hard time with it. There's certain games like that where if you just replay the intro 10 times, you just always end up, you know, with that sort of thing. I'm going to get rid of the pick up more part and just say play more Xbox 360 era games and have it like this. But I'll keep that goal because of that. And then this one I actually did do pretty successfully. Buy and play a couple. I just wrote a couple Xbox One games. But what I meant by that is buy and play a couple Xbox One games, and I actually did that fairly well. I bought like the Halo collection. I played a lot of Dig Dug on Xbox One. Funnily, I don't know if you count that as an Xbox One game. I'm trying to think. I played a fair bit of Xbox One games to completion in 2024. Rage 2, was that in 2024, 2023? I don't remember. Rage 2, I fell in love with. That was one of my most, that is like probably in my top 10 favorite games now. That game just has the best shooter combat I've ever played, hands down. Obviously it's not multiplayer, but like in terms of single player FPS combat, I cannot recommend you Rage 2 enough. The story is pretty shallow. It's not, you know, it's not a perfect game, but it's too stupidly fun to play. Too stupidly fun to play. But I cannot recommend it enough. It's ridiculous. Oh, I'm taking a peek over at my Xbox One shelf actually at the moment. I probably should write that down actually. We'll add extra goals. I want to do a room tour at some point. Since I moved in with my wife into our new apartment, I actually have some nice bookshelves now. I have some more things set up. My TV actually just broke yesterday. It had a falling accident, so unfortunately I have to get a new TV to show off that. Then all my consoles in the room tour, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I played Doom on Xbox One, and was vehemently disappointed. I guess that counts as it. But I played a fair amount of Xbox One games, honestly, a fair amount. Maybe I could do more content. I wanted to try my hand at quote unquote newer games. Obviously, like I think Doom was like 2016. Oh my god, that game's like 8 years old now. I'm getting old, guys. Oh my goodness, because that feels new to me. Oh my goodness, I'm getting old. Xbox One is still like quote unquote new to me, but that console probably came out 10 years ago at this point. We're actually cooked. But it was fun. I honestly really enjoyed exploring the Xbox One in the library. I feel like I got into it at the perfect time. Like right now, I would guess that Xbox One games are probably some of the cheapest they'll ever be, which is awesome. So it's a good time to honestly get into the library and pick things up like that. So that's it for that's the last goal I made at the beginning of the year. Let's jump into goals that I'm actually adding onto the list now. I have a bunch of them written down here. Let's just scroll down to this. So Goals that I have written so far: finish at least 3 in-depth game reviews. So this is more so like retro pat, like channel orientated. I have so many games that I want to review, and I just never really buckle down and get those projects finished, which is why we go into, I want to do at least 3 in-depth game reviews, but also I want to finish 2 unfinished projects. Once again, it is stupid how many unfinished projects I have. Things like Bugdom, things like Alice Madness in Chains. That game seems amazing. I got about halfway done. Call of Duty Finest Hour. I had this was one of the most painful parts of the year for me, which sounds dramatic, but yeah, it kind of is. I spent, man, I want to say 50 to 100 hours, probably 50, 60 maybe, on a Call of Duty Finest Hour video, really analyzing the original Call of Duty game on console and going over the Call of Duty franchise and all these things. And then I accidentally deleted the entire video edited project, like as I was trying to export it, and I just died inside and like never came back to finish it. So I put so much time into playing the game, recording the game, scripting this project. It was one of the biggest scripts I've ever written. I edited the whole video, I put it together, and then I was trying to export it, and I just fucked it up and deleted it like an idiot. So that was devastating. But I want to go back and try to hopefully use the pieces I have to try to finish that. Maybe we'll see. I don't know if I have all the pieces. We'll see. But finishing unfinished projects at some point would be nice. Get level 100 in Dungeon Defenders and beat all survival maps. I think I'm on track to do that pretty easily. That should be pretty solid, so not too worried about that. Give the Dark Souls franchise a solid few days. I've played about 2.5 hours of Dark Souls games. Elden Ring and Dark Souls 1. Those are the 2 games that I've played, and I really don't enjoy them. The combat feels extremely clunky to me, and like not responsive and like delayed, and it doesn't feel good. But obviously these are beautiful games that are beloved by massive communities, and I want to give them more of a chance, and I want to try to learn the combat system. I feel like it's something you have to adapt. Like, I don't think that Dark Souls, it's so different. I feel like the mechanics are in the engine feels so different than every other game that I've played that 2.5 hours is just not nearly enough time to just get in tune with the system. I feel like you have to kind of, it almost reminds me of like RuneScape ticks. If you know, in RuneScape everything operates in 0.6 second intervals in terms of ticks. That's like how you can't, if you click to move, it'll be delayed until the next tick. So like I think Dark Souls kind of feels like that to me, and I have to just get used to that. It took me a long time to get used to that in RuneScape, so I'll try to do that. And then finally, Room Tour. Room Tour is the next one. I put a lot of effort, honestly, into my IRL space, my physical space, which I've never really done to this extent. Not at all. I have a nice big desk now for my computer. I have a nice bookshelf. I'm working way more on physical stuff IRL than I previously had, because I moved in with my wife now, and we had our wedding, and it's a beautiful time to actually care about the space, right? So it just makes sense, and I would love to show that off. It's get it cleaned up. Get the monster cans off the desk, you know how it is, and just hopefully have a nice space to present you guys and show you guys the room tour. I feel like room tours are kind of a 2010 YouTube-esque era thing, but I love it, man. It's fun. I think it's nostalgic. I think it's cute. I love watching other people's room tours. I love seeing people's collections, pointing out like one niche game. Like, I have a lot of niche stuff in my collection that's cool to show off. Things like my N-Gage, things like Elder Scrolls Shadow Key, right? Like there's a lot of niche stuff that is honestly cool that I hope that one person can see and be like, oh wow, I learned about that today because I watched this room tour. Like that's very, very cool to me. So I think that's everything for this video. Very rambly video, very passion project-y fun video for me. If some of you guys enjoy this, thank you. That's amazing to me. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Dislike if you did not. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this every other day. And I'll see you guys later. Let me know in the comments. I'm sorry, I'm totally butchering the outro. Let me know in the comments what you guys want to see, what your goals are. What are your goals for 2025, and what do you want to see the most out of the goals that I mentioned in this video? Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Play some video games. Have fun. Relax a little. Life is tough. I'll see you guys later. Much love. Peace, Reno.